So I do not know what's going on in the ATP. I just don't have the bandwidth. So, wish them luck.
Hello everybody, welcome back to The Body Serve. I'm Jonathan.
I'm James.
I'm going to throw you off here a little bit by starting with a rant.
Oh.
It has nothing to do with tennis. Well, maybe slightly tangential to tennis. But I'm just so tired of people telling musicians that they need to retire and stop. Every third video I come across on social media is a clip from some aging or aged entertainer, and the rote response every time is so-and-so needs to stop. Somebody needs to tell so-and-so that it's okay to retire. It's the exact same terminology, writing every single time. And right before we sat down to record, I saw somebody do that to Rod Stewart. And I'm not a big Rod Stewart fan.
Sure.
But I watched the video and I was like, well, what's wrong here? This is what, an 8-year-old man wearing Rod Stewart things and not sounding crazy. Did y'all not just see Martha Reeves? Like, this was not that.
I was worried that this was about Martha Reeves' national anthem.
No, and
which was absolutely wild.
Even still, she should continue as long as she's able to be booked and busy.
Also, didn't Rod Stewart always sound like that? Isn't that just what he sounds like?
He was also always kind of cringe. Like, if you want my body and you think I'm sexy. Like, come on.
Yeah. Maggie May is a banger, though.
I mean, there's some instances like Gladys Knight where maybe there's elder abuse or spousal abuse. Who knows? Like, something seems to be going on there.
The Frankie Valli?
No, that is a clear-cut one. I think.
Yeah, I would say so.
Like, when you have to wheel the person out from the nursing home to go perform on stage, like, that's crazy.
And it's fully lipped, the entire thing. It's just very bizarre.
We're in an era now where artists make all their money from touring. And a lot of these artists probably make more money now from touring than they ever did, quote-unquote, growing up or starting in the business.
Yes.
Like, the amount of work that they had to do back in the day to make a fraction of what they do now for doing a fraction of what they did then. Did that make sense?
I think so.
Okay.
Yeah. But also, many of those artists didn't own their masters and didn't own their publishing. So a lot of them got really screwed when the record business was actually making money.
So, like, mind your own business and stop content farming, doing all this shit for clicks, because that's all it is, really.
There's a through line here, of course.
With athletes.
Take this stance with athletes as well.
We're not going to go right there just now as somebody's on like a 7-2 match losing streak. We're not going to do that.
Right. I think it's like 11.
It's more than that.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. We are in Toronto, and tennis is in Toronto. And so a lot of folks have been reaching out to say, have you all been to the tennis? Because we've been kind of quiet on that front, on socials. And the answer to that is no, we have not. We wanted to go to the tennis last Sunday, but the weather looked extremely iffy. And I think they ended up getting only 7 matches in, if that day. Ended up being a good call on our part. How we approach Toronto every year, and it's been the case since 2015, 2016, we always have another tournament going to in August that we have to take time off from work. Historically, it had been Cincinnati. And then now, in the last 4 or 5 years, it's been the US Open. It's also a pretty busy month with people visiting, birthdays and such. It's summer, you want to be outside. And so we've always taken a plate-by-ear approach to Toronto, and that's worked for us because, say, if I work a lunch shift, I can then just go drive to tennis for a night session. Or see what the order of plays and just pop in, or take a day off from work and go to the tennis. It's been extremely difficult to do that this go round. And Alex Ayala is partly to blame. Unknowingly.
Yeah, the prices, I mean, if you're coming from the US and paying in USD, it may feel more reasonable because of the exchange, but for us, I'm so sorry. I'm just not paying 175 minimum for one seat for a day session or a night session. I'm just not going to do it. Not here. Maybe for a different tournament, but let me just say, this is the first place I ever watched professional tennis. Have great memories dating back to, I think 2007 was the first time we went in Toronto for the women. And it's no shade at the tournament. It's just, you get complacent because you live here,
They've made big improvements on the grounds over the years.
Oh, but huge.
Year over year, it's a much better fan experience. But if there's one site and tournament of this stature that could use some improvements in terms of the actual facilities and courts and stuff, it's this one.
Yeah, it's like when you see the strides that the other Masters 1000s are taking and are in many ways are forced to, it's like an arms race. Toronto is definitely lagging behind.
I remember looking at night session tickets before the tournament started and saying, oh, $90, I guess. Yeah, that's not the end of the world. But when Alex keeps winning and winning and 75% of the crowd is Filipino and they're out to support her in masses, like this, the fever surrounding Eala is real. It's not overstated.
Mm-hmm.
You put her in front of her diaspora and they're going to come up. They're going to show up. And so those tickets then jump to $250. Never in my lifetime following this tournament have I struggled the day before the day of to find a ticket. Like, it's never been an issue.
Mm-hmm.
And so the prices jump like triple-fold. And what's weird to me about this, and I haven't done investigating into it, I don't know exactly how it works, but whenever I've bought tickets to tennis for any other tournament through Ticketmaster, or even concerts for that matter, you can see what the original list price is. And then you can see what the resale prices are and which tickets that you're buying are resale tickets.
Oh, okay.
Right? None of these are listed like that. They're just fluctuating.
Interesting.
Like last night, we went to bed. We were looking into it, whether you'd go to tennis today by yourself. You drop me off to work and then you go and then pick me up afterward. And the tickets were what, 150, 100 something like that. And then I wake up this morning and then all the tickets, they're a bunch of the cheapest tickets going for 108 or something like that. So where's the collusion happening here?
Because Alex isn't playing today?
Because it's not resale tickets if like 50 of them are the same price. People set their own price for resale tickets. Who's controlling all of this? Is this dynamic pricing? Is this what this looks like? I don't know. I just found the whole thing completely just off-putting.
Yeah, I mean, it's part of like the enshittification of events in general, right? And ticket pricing and gouging, and it's really difficult and prohibitive to go to like anything. But still, like, people are finding the money. People are still going.
Well, if you have that fervor around a player and you have that desire to see her, like, what is $150 to be part of the mania, to be swept up in Eala-mania? You're experiencing a moment. She's having a moment.
So we haven't seen the mania in person, obviously, but it's really cool. Toronto has a huge Filipino community, and we just don't have a lot of Southeast Asian tennis players for communities to rally around. So this is novel. And it brings out a lot of people who probably have never been to tennis or maybe have never even watched tennis on TV. And that's actually very cool.
And I know some of you might be sitting at home or taking us on your walks or at the beach or somewhere listening. And you think, well, isn't this what the GoFundMe's for?
Fair.
Fair question. We allot the majority of that toward like the slam travel, especially this year. Doing Paris and then going to the US Open, which might be the last time, quite frankly, because this is, I simply cannot believe how expensive these things are. Like, it's to the point where I don't know that going to the US Open is a good use of your money. And maybe we should do multiple smaller events instead. But my point is, Toronto, we've always taken the approach of that's going to be money out of our pocket for this one. Like we just go and do whatever we can whenever we can. And the cost of it was allowing it to be that.
Yeah,
It was very affordable. You could get promo codes all the time that actually, like for some sessions, 40% off, 50% off. Those that no longer exists. And so I hope Tennis Canada is able to put that money to good use. And it's not just bots and resellers making a fortune off of
or
this.
all Ticketmaster Live Nation.
Yeah.
So Eala keeps winning. She beat McNally in 3 sets last night. Coco Gauff is still in. Sabalenka. Jessie Pegula lost to Deanna Schneider just today.
Mm-hmm.
Iga Swiatek fought through 3 sets to beat Marta Kostyuk.
Shout out to Matchpoint Canada. The Friday before the tournament started, I guess that's a little over a week ago, they hosted a meet and greet, a little event on King Street. Was it King Street? Somewhere around there.
Adelaide, at a restaurant in the financial district in Toronto. It was so nice of them to invite us. And I was saying, we never get invited to parties. We have to go.
But at that event, we filled out a draw. You know, we famously don't do that for competitive purposes anymore. But we did it. And I have to tell you, there's no chance in hell of us winning whatever is being offered by Mike and Ben.
No. Well, I still have some hope, but you do not.
I think I picked Jovic and Jessie Pegula to make the final with Jessie winning, so I'm completely out of the running. Svitolina looks good. She completely dismantled Potapova 6-1, 6-1. That's a statement win.
Yeah.
And you know how Elena gets when she's up against those Russians.
She's Austrian now, Potapova.
Well,
I don't know if you know that.
She still did not get a handshake with the nationality change. The win today for Iga was a big one.
Yeah.
Because I think I saw a stat where she'd only won 1 match against a top 10 player this year. Like that's wild. And then you fall down a set immediately to Kostyuk, who's having a great year, and you're still able to come back and win 6-1, 6-2. Eala took out McNally last night. We watched that match. McNally, who took out Noskova, her first appearance since winning Wimbledon. Bencic overcame Taylor Townsend last night as well in 3 sets. Coco came through in straight sets against Kayla Day in her first match, 6-2, 7-5. But it wasn't great. It was not a good performance.
No.
She looked completely different against Maria Sakkari yesterday. I mean, just hitting so cleanly from the baseline, serving better. Leylah Fernandez, like, where did that win come from over Mira Andreeva?
Yeah.
And the margin of victory was looking even bigger than the 6-1, 6-4 scoreline. Naomi's here playing well again. She's clearly in her hardcore stride at this point. Well, I mean, she's in her I'm a good to great tennis player again stride. And then in the one of the last matches of the round of 16, you have Samsonova against Rybakina. That's tomorrow. One last thing I want to say about the women's draw before we move on. You see what happens when you play Serena Williams?
What happens?
You start to win matches. Everybody was like, Maya joint this, Maya joint that, can't win a match. This is a horrible loss. She's at this tournament winning 2 matches. She beat Stara Dubtsova, and then she also took out Sorana Cirstea in straight sets.
And for that, we thank you.
And then losing only in 3 sets to Samsonova. You look thoroughly bored as I run through that.
I am so bored. Let's move. I don't know what is going on in Montreal. I don't know where these men are. Carlos, Yannick, and Djokovic are not there. That guy who was the top seed by default loses early to Greek Spore. There's one top 10 player left in the draw by the round of 16. That's Ben Shelton. You know, the number 8 seed, Lehechka, is still around, but he's only the world number 12. So we've got a Masters 1000 that is completely open without the top guys.
At the start of this tournament, we had a Where's Waldo kind of thing with Sinner. People are worried about why is he visiting this doctor? What's going on? The US Open is in doubt. Lo and behold, he's on the entry list for Cincinnati. Maybe probably was just a checkup.
Yeah, there's this segment of the, how do I say, the Spanish online press, the Spanish Twitter press, who like to overblow these sorts of things.
Mm-hmm.
He said after the French Open he was going to be looking into his health issues and why he's wilting in the sun, and I don't know, maybe let's just assume that's part of that. It's not like you solve it overnight.
We'll get into Carlos's reappearance later on in the episode, but he has already pulled out of Cincinnati. And people are like, oh my God, this doesn't look good for the US Open.
It doesn't.
It might not. But we'll see.
Now there were murmurs about him trying to get into a smaller tournament the week before. Winston-Salem? That still exists?
I don't know. I mean, maybe he just didn't feel quite ready yet.
Yeah, but when are you going to feel ready? The US Open is the end of August. A season in which he misses 3 slams is an absolute disaster for him and for the ATP.
That guy rolled up to Montreal as a top seed with nary a competitor in sight and promptly lost to Griekspoor and then gave a sermon afterward.
Oh, now this is about the balls, right?
Said, I didn't expect to play well, but also not bad. But with the conditions and the balls, I think there are going to be some pretty strange results. I've already won 7 Masters 1000s. It's fine.
Okay. Bye. Thank you. We're so late. We were going to record last week, and so I compiled all this data about the previous week. Los Cabos, Washington, D.C. I think we can speed through it at this point.
Mm-hmm. That was squarely my fault.
It was. And, I read the Marketa Vondrousova decision. I annotated it. I was so ready. I could have done that thing verbatim off the top of my head. But you didn't want to record.
I had come home from work, and it was my last day of work, 5 in a row. I was tired. Wasn't feeling that great.
I know.
Yeah, and
our schedules just are not aligned ever. So Los Cabos, Mexico.
Mr. Poopy Pants.
Wow. That's thus far what he's been most known for. Arthur Gea, the world number 127 coming into this tournament, wins his first ATP title, beating Denis Shapovalov, who seemed to come out of nowhere to reach another final in Mexico. He was the defending champ here in Los Cabos.
Denis Viktorovich Shapovalov, who, according to Wikipedia, is a Canadian professional tennis player and rapper.
Mm-hmm. I mean, I've downloaded his music. He is a rapper, officially. Gea, the champion, is only 21 years old. And like you said, so far he had been most famous for having digestive problems at Roland Garros. And the way he delivered that news was hilarious. Fun fact, his coach is Gerald Meltzer, who is Jürgen Meltzer's brother. Remember him?
I do, yes. Dennis likes playing in Mexico.
He does. Won Los Cabos last year. He won the Jalisco Challenger way back in 2017. But he had not won consecutive matches on tour since Munich in the spring, and his ranking had fallen all the way to number 68.
I think we might go to DC next year.
Oh, it's too hot there in the summer.
We've been to Paris and we've been to London and we've been in like 40-degree weather.
This is different. The humidity and the 40 oh god, no.
Wow. I'm just here trying to big up this tournament that it seems like a really good draw. The players love it.
Oh yeah.
It seems to get a higher profile every year, and here you are. God forbid you carry a fan.
Oh, I did buy a little handheld fan.
Yeah,
the electric ones.
Buckle up, Buttercup. What is it?
I don't know.
We'll work on that. On the men's side, it appears that we will know no peace as it pertains to the Hewitt family, because the spawn of Leighton has done a thing.
Yeah, Cruz, Cruz,
beat Marcos Giron
in the main draw, and it looks like we're going to be stuck with the Hewitt family for a while.
Taylor Fritz won this tournament. Congrats to him in his new bachelor era. Out in the gym, getting swole, getting pictures for his Hinge profile.
Hinge,
or Raya. He's probably on Raya.
Raya.
Yeah.
Isn't that where he met Morgan?
Oh, I don't know.
That's the the elite dating.
They could never let me close to that thing.
I'm there's probably like a more elite app that we just don't know about, like the general public has never heard of. Raya's like the placeholder.
He beat Rafael Hodar in the final. I'm not going to call him Rafa. I'm sorry, it's not happening.
No.
I see a lot of people online up in arms about that, and I'm on the same wavelength with
Also,
you.
I don't know him like that.
There's only one
I
Rafa.
might just call him Mr. Hodar.
And if I am Hodar, why do I want to be called Rafa? Like,
I mean, to be fair, it is his name.
I understand.
I mean, if people call him that in his real life.
But you started working at Starbucks and all of a sudden you're James. Instead of Jim, you were Jim your entire life until then.
Because I realized I was an adult and I can choose how I would like to be called.
So maybe he will want to be called Raphael. It's the exact same premise.
You should ask him.
You weren't filling the greatest barista's shoes whose name was also Jim.
Right.
At
It was like
Starbucks.
off limits. Like his apron had been retired and hung up on the
Exactly.
wall.
Hodar made the final. Another person we're never getting rid of. Like, this dude has hatched, yet to snatch, but he is hatching.
It is actually so amazing how quickly this man has turned everyone against him. He just appeared. Did he not just materialize?
A year ago, exactly, he was ranked 500. And now he's top 15.
Yeah. But he's nasty to ball kids and no.
Oh no, don't say that. Those were misunderstandings.
I didn't say that he
Those
body
are-
slammed that kid.
Those are accusations, allegations from dark-sided people who want to sully and besmirch and destroy this man's reputation before he even does anything. You all are disgusting. It's all a bit much. We've talked about this on the show before. Like, maybe this is not who he's going to be going forward, but this is who he's shown himself to be thus far. Like, you're a chosen one, you're an anointed one, and with that comes expectation and demands of your decorum. I'm sorry, it's just the way it is.
You're also not a baby.
No.
You're 19. You're not 14 years old.
People do this thing where men can only be held accountable for their actions in their late 20s because they haven't really grown up yet. You know, like, they're still little boys.
Yeah. So for now, he deserves the smoke. If his behavior improves and he stops that shit, then we can move on. It's as simple as that.
Francis Tiafoe fell in the first round. We later find out from him today, is it? Was it today we found out?
Yesterday or something.
That he had a cyst removed from his wrist and that it had been giving him trouble for a while. He said, "I'll be back soon." Pray tell, Francis, when is soon?
Right.
Like, I'm going to need a little bit more detail on that
Where
part.
exactly was this cyst and why did it appear?
Tommy Paul and Leonard Tien also were out in the first round. They went on to play yesterday in Montreal.
Mm-hmm.
And Lerner opened up a can of whoop ass on Tommy Paul yesterday.
Lerner also played Gael Monfils in Montreal, right? And asked for his autograph afterward, after beating him. Damn.
Shelton lost in 2.5 hours to Tabilo in the quarterfinals in DC. On the women's side, this is where the Eala fever really started to percolate.
She's really lit up since the tour moved to grass, winning the 125 in Birmingham, reaching the semis in Berlin, Wimbledon round of 16, and the quality of wins that she's had since then over Vekic on grass, Rybakina, Svitolina twice, Iga Swiatek at Wimbledon, Osaka in DC, and then of course Jessie Pegula in DC. It's not coming out of nowhere, and the move to grass really like ignited her. There was a Monday final because of weather.
For both the men and the women.
Mm-hmm. Alex wins 4-6, 6-4, 6-love. I know Peggy was just ready to get on the PJ and fly to Toronto. She was done. A 6-love set? It's not like her.
Well, the interruption really halted her momentum because the match was firmly in her grasp up until that point. Jessie is number 4 in the race at this point, number 3 in the live ranking, with a real chance of finishing the year number 2. And she's definitely been one of the most consistent players on the WTA Tour this season.
Yeah.
Of course, as I say that, she loses today to Deanna Schneider. Also, somebody who's had a good season, but a match that you'd expect Jessie to win.
Mm-hmm. Before that, I would argue that she had a single bad loss this season. Only one. To gospel great Kimberly Burrell at Roland Garros. Otherwise, it's been Rybakina 3 times, Kostiuk twice, Goff, Swiatek, Noskova. Those are great losses. Even Schneider is a good loss.
Those are great losses. Amazing losses.
She's had 4 finals this year, 2 wins, 2 losses. We had the inaugural Memphis 250 with 2 finalists from outside the top 100. And the winner was the 16-year-old qualifier Kristina Lutova over the Czech Daria Vidmanova. All of the seeds lost before the semifinals. Lutova was only recently playing junior tournaments. She wins matches over Maya Joint, the number 1 seed, Alexandrova. She came in ranked number 229.
When this event popped up, you were like, wait, isn't this a men's tournament? And I'm like, yeah,
I remember there was.
It used to be a men's tournament. And this is a tournament that ran from 1975 to 2017. Harold Solomon won the first one. A lot of big names won this tournament. Harold Solomon, Bjorn Borg, Jimmy Connors, John McEnroe, Ed Berg, Brad Gilbert won it, Agassi won it, Courier, Sampras, Chang. But in the lifetime of our show, we remember it for Kei Nishikori winning it 4 times in a row.
Mm-hmm.
From 2013 to 2016. And the tournament went out with a whimper because it was won by Ryan Harrison in 2017.
Oh. And then they said they were moving to Long Island, remember?
Oh, that was the one?
It was short-lived. Yeah.
They used to give them, a guitar?
Yeah, because
like
Memphis,
a big old one,
the blues.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Before we get into your favorite topic, one final thing about the Toronto tennis, and by extension, the Montreal tennis, and by further extension, the elongation of these Masters 1000s. This is now Saturday, August 8th. The tournament ends on the 13th. We have the 9th, 10th, 11th, 12th, 13th. We have 5 more days after today. Today, there will only be 4 singles matches. Tomorrow, there will be 4 singles matches. 2 in the day, 2 at night. And what else? Doubles. Great. But we know there's a current war in doubles. So then what? What happens when the doubles goes away? What will there be on offer for fans to watch? This is already such a depletion of the value of your ticket. This is wild.
Well, actually, if I'm being honest, I don't want to be negative Nancy, but part of the reason I'm not interested is like you said, the elongation of the Masters events have really killed it for me. So let's just say you tried it, didn't work. Let's pack it in. It's okay.
Never going to happen.
Okay to experiment, but you got to take it back.
They're making more money than they ever have. Look how much money they're making this year. They struck gold with Eala, and they have to give us peanuts to collect twice, thrice as much money. Why wouldn't you do it? It is such an abomination.
All right. The most exciting part of the show for me. A few weeks ago, the tribunal published its full decision on the Marketa Vondrousova doping case. I ran straight to the document. I mark it up with my little stylus on my tablet.
You still have to show me how to use that. I can't.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
All right. Let me just say, after reading the decision, it was clear to me that she gave her legal team a very difficult battle to fight here. It was hard to defend this case.
This was not good for her. No. This was really bad.
She was represented by Howard Jacobs and Jan Exner. Howard Jacobs is the attorney to the stars. He is the doping defense lawyer that you want on your side, and even he couldn't work magic here. The tribunal's report specifically called out Marketa's behavior and decision-making during and after the incident.
The Instagram post that we talked about, we flagged it. Everybody flagged it when it happened.
That was not good. The Instagram story saying that this doping control officer is here and they're outside of my testing window and this is crazy. And not only did she do that, she tagged the WADA, the ITF. It wasn't a secret, right? She was trying to make waves. They also highlighted a text to her boyfriend that I will go into detail about in a moment.
Can I read it now?
We're not going to say the word, though.
We're not going to do it?
We don't say that on the show. No.
Talk about a smoking gun. If there ever were a smoking gun This is the selection of a new pope. Like, this is crazy. Everybody can see this from miles away. She allegedly...
Not alleged.
Well, yeah, she sent her boyfriend a text that said, quote, "Here is ringing some see you next Tuesday from the doping."
This is one of the funniest things I read all year. I was cackling to myself. When people say I'm screaming, I actually was. This is crazy. And a lot of her case... Now let's talk about what happened. You know that in December, a doping control officer came to her home in Prague at about 8 p.m. This was an out-of-competition test. They're allowed to do an out-of-competition test that's outside of your window, your whereabouts window that you provide.
Which people don't seem to know about.
She didn't know about.
We didn't know about.
Her agent didn't know it. The people who are paid to know. So, I mean, Sharapova blaming Max Eisenbud, that is small potatoes compared to this. If your agent doesn't know this, you're not being represented properly. But to be fair, your agent is not your lawyer. But
to be fair, your agent is a former chair umpire who had a stellar, much celebrated career, who's been around tennis intimately for a very long time.
Yes.
Enrique Molina.
Now, Marketa was charged with an anti-doping rule violation under Article 2.3, which is about a player evading a collection or refusing or failing to submit a sample collection without compelling justification after notification by a duly authorized person. There were disagreements about the facts of what happened, but the ITIA's case was that she refused a test, that it was intentional, and that there was no compelling justification for her refusing it.
How did she go about defending this? The first thing was to poke holes in the whole business of not being properly notified.
So take the language of the article, right? After notification by a duly authorized person. That's something you can pick at.
Mm-hmm.
So first, her team argued that she was not properly notified, meaning she didn't know that this person was a doping control officer, that this person failed to identify herself, provide identification, and failed to identify Marketa herself. And then part of her argument hinged on the testing happening outside of the designated window. Now that's thrown out immediately. That has no standing whatsoever.
And then you bring in the text with the boyfriend, where she clearly acknowledges that there was a doping control person there.
Right, and she did the Insta story. She acknowledged that she knew this was someone from, well, a see you next Tuesday from the doping, to be specific. Now, the next job is to talk about compelling justification. So even if you are shown to have refused or failed to provide a sample, did you have compelling justification under the article? And in her case, she argued that her generalized anxiety disorder and an acute stress reaction in the moment made the sample collection, quote, mentally and morally impossible. And that's language from case law. I know that sounds dramatic, but that's not on them. That's the standard. First, the ITIA has the burden of proof to show that the rule violation was committed. And it has to be proven to the comfortable satisfaction of the tribunal. Now, that's a higher burden than balance of probabilities, but lower than a criminal beyond a reasonable doubt standard. As part of the notification, there's a legal test. There's these 4 elements. So you have to show that the person who notified the player was duly authorized, that the player was notified that she was required to provide a sample, 3, that the player refused to provide a sample, and then 4 gets into what is refusal, what is failure, and the gist of it is that refusal must be intentional, and failure can be either intentional or negligent. Once the ITIA can prove that the 4 elements existed, that there was a proper notification to the player, now the burden shifts to the player to prove on a balance of probabilities that there was a compelling justification for her refusing. I wanted to talk about some testimony from both the control officer and Vondrousova on what happened on December 3rd. There was disagreement, but the general gist was similar. So the officer rings the intercom at the apartment building. They speak through the intercom. Marketa says, "Hold on, I need to call my agent." So she does that. Eventually she gets a hold of him. The officer rings the buzzer again after a few minutes, and Marketa says she's not doing the testing, and the doping control officer should go home. And the officer explains she can't leave unless Marketa completes this paperwork, affirming that she refused a test. Apparently, Marketa then came downstairs with her dog, the Italian Greyhound.
An Italian Greyhound? They're
So
so
cute.
cute.
Adorable.
Like, if and when we ever get another dog, I would love an Italian Greyhound.
Oh, yeah.
But I don't think it's possible because I don't see no Italian Greyhounds lying around in wait at the pound.
And that's the only place we buy dogs. Now, Marketa comes down with the dog, and the doping control officer is surprised to see her. They speak face to face for the first time. The DCO explains the consequences of refusing the test. She asks Marketa to sign this form, and then Marketa says, go home. I'm not doing the test. She said that explicitly. I'm refusing the test. I'm signing this paper. Go home. Now, Marketa's argument was that the DCO didn't show her any ID or require any ID from Marketa, and she argues that her successful test 4 days later should show that she's clean and she's willing to submit to testing. Now, that was discounted almost immediately. There was very little discussion about that because, as we all know, the levels of illicit substances in your sample can fluctuate quite a bit over those days. Not saying that she had anything, but that's why these rules are so important.
Mm-hmm.
After reviewing the testimonies, the tribunal prefers, quote, the testimony of the DCO, finding it more credible, because a few things really hurt Vondrousova's case.
The text, first of all, she now can't argue that she didn't know it was a doping control officer. That makes you look like a liar.
It does.
It makes you look like you're up to some shenanigans.
And the fact that they published the expletive was a bit petty, but they really wanted to nail you on that one.
The Instagram crash out, where she accused the doping control officer of violating the rules, even tagging the WTA, ITF, and WADA, like, girl, you were doing a lot. Unfortunately, both Marketa and her agent didn't know the rules about out-of-competition testing, and so that probably informed how she went about dealing with this situation in the moment.
Mm-hmm. This goes to element 4, which is determining whether it was a refusal or failure and whether it was intentional. And finally, her conduct during the interaction. In the report, they said, quote, it was the player's own conduct in refusing or failing to submit to a sample collection that had prevented the requisite ISTI steps from occurring. ISTI is the International Standards for Testing and Investigations from WADA.
So many acronyms.
A lot of acronyms.
So many.
But they were trying to argue that the DCO didn't take the required steps in actually conducting a sample collection. They said the player acted so recklessly that she basically stopped the sample collection before it could even begin.
They basically said that given her experience, ignorance of the rules is A, not an excuse, and B, not even believable in this case.
And finally, the refusal versus failure question. Vondrousova very clearly said she was refusing to do the test. She thought that she had the legal and moral high ground in the situation by refusing, but the tribunal determined this is clearly intentional. It's a refusal, and there was almost no discussion about this point in the report.
What if she had just said in her defense, wow, I am so stupid. I really fucked up. I didn't realize what was going on. I thought that I had this as an out. I really was not feeling it that night. I thought that they were wrong on their end and that this was no issue.
So we'll get there, but I think a number of people have brought up, well, let's say, hypothetically, she had a banned substance in her system. She would have been better off testing positive, going through with the test, because at that point you can make arguments, right? You can have stories and reasons why this prohibited substance would be in your system.
You can trace the beef. You can see what's in your grandmother's medicine cabinet.
It's the melatonin. It's the gel that you're putting on a cut. We've heard everything, right? And a lot of those positive tests tend to get knocked down on appeal. This was so clear-cut as a refusal that there was very little her lawyers could even argue here. So the tribunal is satisfied that the ITIA proved that there was a rule violation, proved that there was a refusal to test. The next part is, what about the compelling justification for refusing the test? And so the legal test here about what counts as justification is physically, hygienically, and morally impossible for the sample to be provided with the reason for refusal, quote, exceptional, indeed unavoidable.
Break that down, because that seems very convoluted to me.
The case law that they're relying on shows that the legal requirement for compelling justification for refusing a test is incredibly high. Even if she had a panic attack, that would probably not rise to the level of justification. She would probably still be required to submit to the sample collection. So this is an incredibly high bar, and her team tries to show that it was a failure, not a refusal, to submit to testing, because a failure is the only thing at this point that's going to get the suspension knocked down from 4 years. So they argue, firstly, that she bore no fault or negligence because her actions were, quote, a direct manifestation of a clinical pathology. Failing that, then they try to argue no significant fault or negligence. And they relied on the Troitsky case, where they argued that the player didn't bear significant fault because the DCO didn't follow procedure. So we already know that the tribunal knocked that down. They are not interested. Her team called out exceptional circumstances like threats and harassment to Vondrousova and her family, safety and security, that is a, quote, high crime rate in her area, the attack on Petra Kvitova, and stress caused by injury and sleep deprivation. The ITIA was so petty in the arguments that they brought. They said, first of all, we've run the numbers, the crime stats, and you live in actually a very nice neighborhood in Prague, so forget that.
And that her Italian Greyhound was, quote, not much of a scary dog. That seems...
That was too much.
superficial to the matter at hand.
All right.
Why is this dog catching strays? Like, Italian Greyhounds are Italian Greyhounds. They are adored for a reason. Their job is to serve looks. That's all they do. To be dainty and serve looks.
The point was, you nonchalantly brought your fancy, elegant dog outside with you to take a cute walk in this allegedly dangerous neighborhood when you were also having an anxiety attack. They didn't buy it. So the tribunal accepts, okay, she has generalized anxiety disorder. We're not going to quibble with that. But they do not accept that she suffered an acute stress reaction during the incident because her executive functioning didn't seem impaired. They brought in 4 doctors. The tribunal mostly disregarded the evidence of all of those doctors because their assessments were retrospective. There was no contemporaneous evidence of the acute stress reaction, and the player did not seek medical treatment for it after the incident.
I mean, that's kind of a big thing, right? Like, if you're claiming this, then there should be some ongoing follow-up.
Yeah, and these were not doctors who had been treating her, right? They were all looking at what happened and trying to give their medical opinion after the fact. But that said, they said even if she had suffered an acute stress reaction, that probably still wouldn't be considered a compelling justification.
The bottom line here is that the tribunal finally said that it's not their job to rule on the fairness of the sanction, just whether a sanction should be imposed based on the facts, based on the refusal to submit to the doping control officer and provide a sample. Quote, "This is a very unfortunate matter in which the player made a decision in the heat of the moment to refuse doping control in a state of stress and anxiety with significant consequences. And those consequences are that she has a 4-year period of ineligibility from playing tennis, which now starts on the 22nd of June, 2026, as opposed to backdated to when the incident would have happened."
Yeah.
So that's 7 months that could have been suspended from this sentence for time served, essentially.
Because she didn't go on a provisional suspension. She could have, but it wasn't required in this type of case.
She can now appeal to Cass. That's the last.
Yeah. I found it interesting that the tribunal appeared to show some sympathy to her toward the end, saying, this is an unfortunate matter. The player made this rash decision. And like you mentioned, they said, we are not here to rule on the fairness of the punishment, but this is the punishment, right?
The subtext of this is that they're saying she acted like a dummy. This probably doesn't meet what actually happened. But the rules are the rules.
Right. And if you, let's say you like reduce the burden for compelling justification, then you could have players saying, and this has happened, like players saying, I was sick, I had a panic attack, or I'm scared of needles, for example, with Troitsky. Like, if you reduce it, it becomes much easier to pick away and much easier to evade testing. Because the point of out-of-competition testing is that it's a surprise, and that sometimes banned substances stay in people's system for only a short time.
Well,
it was a really interesting read. Like, if you have some time on a Saturday afternoon, that's what I did. Read you skim or read the 58 pages.
I think for a lot of people, that's why they're listening.
Okay.
That they don't have to read it. Because you do such a great job, sweetie, of reading the dense data and reports and distilling it in such an accessible way with your trademark humor, wit, and expertise.
Oh, wow. I'm just saying, I'm not a lawyer. So if you'd prefer to read it yourself, I get it. My sister and I were talking about this. Any of you Americans, did you ever have to take a test called the DRP? It was like degrees of reading power. And I remember you would read these passages and then there was a word missing and you'd have to choose the correct word in a paragraph. And it got more and more difficult. So like it started at, first grade reading level, then it would go up. And if you get to level 16, 17, you're reading shit like this. You're 8 years old. You're reading an essay about financial accounting or some legalese. So weird.
This is apropos of what?
Because I'm reading this stuff now. This legal text.
You're trying to tell us that you got to level 17?
Oh, sure, I understand this, I guess. Because I was forced to read shit like this that I didn't understand when I was little. No, I'm just curious if other people know what the DRP is, or if it was just a Western New York thing.
Oh, in Jamaica, that's just learning.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
No, this was like a standardized test that was meant to place you somewhere, Yeah. Anyway.
Following up from our last episode, I was honestly expecting to have a lot more pushback. Knock on wood. It could still come.
Yeah, I think if we were on Twitter, it probably would be more.
Yeah.
Because they pay bots and some humans to...
just a few subtweets here or there.
Yeah.
Developments since the last episode. John Wertheim took a stance. Not often you see that. It's very difficult to do. Not everybody has those stances on the Billboard Hot 100 #1 charts. He thinks that, the what of this is A-okay. The why is up for debate. Yes. We want to know more about the why.
That was his framing, that he agrees with the policy, but where's it coming from? Now, a few things I wanted to point out. I've been, many of us have been reading John Wertheim for years, for the entire time we've been into tennis, right? Venus Envy and his writing in Sports Illustrated. It's been like 30 years. Something about his writing that sometimes bothers me is I think he uses the middle ground fallacy a little bit too much. And again,
so now you have to explain.
I'm not a lawyer.
What the middle ground fallacy is.
I didn't take the LSAT, but essentially you set up two poles, two extremes, and then you present the middle way as the correct way, right? Between these two extremes, the middle must be correct. It must be reasonable. And I find it can be very reductive. And so he does this in his writing, and he did it in this piece.
Because you never pick a side.
Right.
Ultimately. And sometimes...
Like, if I say this, it's always like, if I say this, I'm called an extreme leftist communist. But if I disagree with the loud people on the left, then, I'm hateful, I'm MAGA, whatever. And like, And so,
Well, no,
therefore,
let me
I'm
stop you
picking the
there.
middle.
Because this is almost regurgitated every time he's wading
Every time.
into any water that's murky. He said, my thoughts? First, this is a nuanced issue that is singularly ill-suited for social media and these binary times. Binary times.
Therefore, here are some binaries.
A vote for column A and you lose half the room. The vitriol flows and you get told you are a fascist grifter. And there's a link to that. Apparently that happened I don't know, I'm not clicking on it. Inevitably, they say, I've lost all respect for you. A vote for column B and you lose the other half of the room. The vitriol flows again. And you get told you are an irredeemable leftist. Inevitably, I've lost all respect for you. So it's going to happen either way. The vitriol is going to flow either way, and they're going to lose respect for you either way. So what do? Who needs this? Why subject yourself to this?
Well, I agree, but
Well,
why are you?
Well, why wouldn't you subject to this? You're being paid to be a commentator in tennis.
Also, I realize this is an oversimplification for
The topic at hand.
the medium and the form you're writing in, but there's more than column A and column B, right?
Yeah.
There aren't two camps.
No.
There are actually a lot.
The thing that I took most issue with, like, fine, I understand that people have differences of opinion on this. I don't expect everybody to agree with what we say.
No.
I mean, I understand that that's going to happen. But when he says, quote, but it should also be evident that bad faith actors have hijacked this nuanced topic for cynical purposes. It's a losing political issue for one side and a winner for the other side. As a result, it has not only taken on wildly outsized importance relative to the number of those impacted, it has also been completely weaponized. This has been a hot button issue in state elections, in states that have virtually no known transgender athletes. It has been ruled on by the Supreme Court. It's also often a gateway to homophobia, transphobia, and general mean-spiritedness. And I would have just wanted some acknowledgement of the call that would have been coming from within that house, from his colleague and presumable friend, Martina Navratilova, because you're describing her involvement in a lot of this.
And you
because
tweeted that basically she was right. She's been right the whole time.
You can make the argument that it's not her fault that her words are being co-opted by these so-called bad faith actors. But she too is a bad faith actor because she's not who she said she was. The Martina people are lionizing right now is not the Martina who is out here attacking trans people in regular life separate from tennis.
Right. So like
who is out here transvestigating all the time. That's not what's happening here. And so like this felt very disingenuous to me because you can't be saying all this and then pretending like you're completely aloof to what's going on right now.
Yeah. Who are the bad faith actors? Because it seems like you're implying that your colleague, Martina, is not one. Like, come on. Like, be for real. Say it with your chest. The other thing, he wrote that I have been told that this spring and summer, multiple players asked the WTA to articulate this policy. And I know that John is probably like the most sourced up tennis reporter in the world, right? Like I have no doubt that he has sources. Who? This, again, like this is not Watergate. Anonymous sources are not in danger of their lives. I'm so tired of, I've been told by people that I can't name that this happened. Where is the evidence? Are we meant to simply go, oh, okay, never mind. I'll shut up because he's been told by people that I don't know, and I don't know what they told him, but he was told.
He goes on to say in the piece that, quote, I know of 0 trans players on tour since Renee Richards. I know of no trans tennis players at a high level, acknowledging that there is no quote-unquote imminent threat to women's sport as it pertains to tennis. And the premise of this was, why is the WTA doing this? That was the thing that he disagreed with. He agreed with the what. He agreed with the policy, but he didn't agree with why the WTA was doing this. Why, when there is no imminent threat, there's no player who is burgeoning, who's on the cusp, who could put the WTA in a precarious position where they're unprepared.
Right.
There's nobody on the horizon. Tennis, people don't just appear out of nowhere. You know, you come through certain ranks to be able to get to that level. It doesn't happen overnight.
And Yannick Sinner is not transitioning and going to be playing for the WTA, right? I mean, there are things about the piece that I found very nuanced and interesting.
I agree.
Right? It sounds like we're tearing it apart. There are some things that fundamentally I have a problem with.
I found it less infuriating the second time I read it.
Yeah, yeah.
I was able to get out of my feelings for a bit and then actually see where he was coming from in spots, but it was just like the trigger words that really set me off.
Yeah, yeah. I did not want to talk about this again because I felt like we said our piece already on the last episode.
I think what we need to stress here is that this is not an issue. It's a non-issue. Whether or not you feel that trans women should be able to play women's sport, it's a hypothetical. By and large.
Yeah.
Mostly, if not almost exclusively. Historically and today, there are no tennis players trying to play as a trans woman on the WTA Tour. The NCAA has changed its policies.
Yeah, that happened last year.
It is virtually impossible for a trans girl to then develop into a trans woman and then break through on a premier sporting level.
Yeah.
Like, for that to happen, that would take some kind of Herculean effort that is entirely outside the scope of the sinister, predatory description that everybody wants to treat this topic with. Like, this is a non-issue.
The thing is, like, I feel like people are being paid to play in our faces, right? That this is almost a time waster. Sophie Cunningham and now Enes Kanter. Like, Enes Kanter...
Royce White.
Would you like to be an FBI asset or a right-wing grifter or both?
If you haven't heard Enes Kanter and Royce White, I think that's his name, they said that they're going to declare for the WNBA draft in 2027.
Like,
they're going to say, I am trans, and so I'm going to play.
Right, so why are we taking this seriously is my thing. Like, these are people who are being paid by political action committees and think tanks to make people pissed off, to roil the culture wars about an issue that doesn't really exist for the most part. And so now we fight with each other on the left. You know, people who fight for women's rights, now we're fighting with each other about this. It's a time waster. And so Enes Kanter, like, I hope you're happy. Like, this is your life now. You know, this is the rest of your life. You are going to be a right-wing huckster. I hope that's fun for you because it's never ending, right? Like, now you're Riley Gaines.
He's been moving suspect for a while.
Yeah.
And now Coco Gauff, who didn't hit the notes that we would like her to hit, but at least the notes were led with empathy.
Yeah, and the thing is, like, I don't even want to parse any tennis players' statements on this because they're not educated.
Thank you for interrupting me.
Oh,
I
sorry.
was going further with that. And now her words are now being used by the right and those on the left who are acting like the right to say, well, even Coco Gauff agrees with us. Fox News is talking about even Coco Gauff. They're saying Coco says that trans women shouldn't be in sports, even though they're calling them men, which is not what she said.
Right.
And it's just, it's a tornado of mess, the discourse surrounding this.
Yeah.
And the more tennis players talk about it, is the more messy it's going to get.
Now, I don't want to say I told you so, but Sabalenka and Kyrgios's little dabbling in the battle of the sexes was a harbinger for this. I knew it was coming. It's insidious. She's been consistently, a lot of people are calling her dumb or thoughtless. I would like to go a step further and call her malicious. Because she's both. I mean, she's not educated. I've never found her particularly intellectually stimulating. I'm not going to call her dumb.
No, I think she's ignorant.
But it's past that. It's purposeful. I think there's a level of cruelty to it. And I think her entire team has zero class. I've always thought that about issues way beyond this.
Okay.
Anyway, Chrissy somehow has the time to run her little victory lap on this. She wasn't on the wagon for a while, right? But that's the thing with this issue. Once you get in, you are in.
But she's out here saying Martina and what's her name? Nancy
Hogshead.
Martina and Nancy were on this from the jump and they took their licks. Lord knows they took their licks.
And vindicated.
They took their licks. You all tried it. And now this issue that they were always in the the majority on.
Mhm.
Now they can take their victory lap because we've been proven right.
Oh, and if you want to know more, ask Renee Richards and Caitlyn Jenner. Are you fucking kidding me?
Caitlyn Jenner.
Caitlyn Jenner. Caitlyn Jenner was an athlete in like the 70s, first of all. Caitlyn did not transition until her 60s. What the hell would she know about competing as a trans woman? Also, I mean, if that's who you want to hang your flag on, that's the icon. It's very clear where you're coming at this issue from. Caitlyn Jenner, who said, "I love my president. I love Donald J. Trump, but I can't get a fucking passport now because of the
new
thing
laws.
he articulated very clearly before I voted for him."
The new laws.
Girl, fuck you.
Mm-hmm. Not more than 2 short weeks ago, we had a day online, as in all of us people who love and follow tennis who are online.
It was one of those discourse days.
It was a day where it was visually appalling. There was a lot of visual assault on our
Mhm.
eyes and the aesthetics of tennis. Carlos Alcaraz, and I guess subsequent to that, Francisco Caboli. What's his name?
Flavio
Caboli.
Jesus. No, Flavio's were first, I think.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
Anyway,
So we had we had new dabblers.
in black hairstyles.
Mhm.
Yeah.
The cornrow co-op.
Carlos got cornrows done randomly. They were actually like well done.
It was good work. They looked very neat.
That doesn't mean he should do it.
No. And it looked that way probably because he has coarser hair than
Yeah.
some of the finer haired co-opters
Like
in the past.
Svetlana Kuznetsova. Do you
Like
remember?
Yelena
My
Ostapenko.
God.
Yeah.
Yeah. Carlos's braids were tight.
Yeah. And what they don't realize is that where the braids are tightened, ultimately at the back of the head, that shit is intense.
Oh, okay. I mean, I have to take your word for it.
Intense.
Mm.
And so, like, this is not, they're not long for this world. They're just dabbling.
They're not built for this.
They're not built for this life. Hyenas.
And then to show up in a do-rag?
That
Come on.
That was
Come on, dude.
beyond the pale and paleness of this man. Like, this was, there's no defending that.
No, because they all think this is a joke.
Y'all
right?
can go on vacation and get your cornrows done and come back and like go back to regular life. But the do-rag, that's crazy. That is crazy work.
No, and then for like these legit tennis media accounts to do some AI, what would these players look like with cornrows? Like, you guys think this is a joke? That's nasty. That's really nasty work.
We've talked about this before on the show as to why this specific type of cultural appropriation is wrong. I'm not about to do that right here, right now, because if you don't know by now, that's on you. You go do some reading.
He took them out fairly quickly.
As he had to, out of necessity to survive.
He can't be having pain in his wrist and his scalp at the same time. Like, pick a struggle.
A true and utter abomination.
Unforced error.
No. It's beyond that. It's beyond that.
For some reason, Yonex subjected us to this Rybakina Vukov photo shoot of them looking cutesy together. Why did we need that? Why would they do that?
So we have the Carlos cornrow.
Mm-hmm. Then we
Then
have this cursed demonic image.
On the same day.
Yeah.
And then
The trifecta.
we get the Sabalenka kit reveal for the US Open. And I know what everybody says. I'm going to reserve full judgment until I actually see it. No, truly.
Okay.
Because I think there's potentially some redemption to it. In person.
There's not.
Potentially.
Mm-hmm.
Because, no, there's no because. But I'm just going to wait.
Okay.
But I think it's perfectly in step with her aesthetic.
Well, it is, yeah.
It is Jersey mob wife.
Tacky? Well, yeah, I mean, she's a Miami girly.
Yeah.
Right? Like, it's tacky as fuck. I mean, to me, Nike is laughing at her. Like, I think somebody behind the scenes is playing with her.
No,
and they
she
find
says
it funny.
that she's in step with these designs now.
Which is why it's funny, because she's all in.
Listen, she's the number one player in the world, and she's finally getting her custom
I've
kits, and
heard.
she likes them.
Yeah.
She likes them.
I'm just saying Nike is playing with her.
We talk ad nauseum about how it's crazy that the world number one can't get custom kits, and now she's got them.
Can you imagine that?
But it's not really custom.
No,
it's
wait.
just a little flair touch-up to what everybody else has.
Can you imagine walking through the Roland Garros store and seeing that little fishnet frock on the shelf? Would you pick that up?
You have here that it's giving Phaedra Park's swimsuit cover-up from the Anguilla trip season 5.
Yeah. Why did you say that? I'm the one who made the connection. Do you guys remember that? Phaedra with the cover-up?
With the thong.
Yeah.
Yeah.
With like the beach cover-up.
Yeah.
That fishnet number.
We'll see how it moves. Maybe it moves effortlessly.
I bet it does. I bet the reveal generate the virality of Naomi Osaka.
Wow.
I didn't say it had to be in a good way or a bad way.
That brings us to the end of episode 432.
I feel like we were a little bit nasty on this one.
Really?
I'm going to go back and see if I want to call Caitlyn Jenner a bitch.
I think you should take that one out. I think it's out of character for us, regardless of who the bitch is.
Well, rest assured, if it doesn't appear in the episodes, it is in the vault somewhere.
To make an appearance?
No, I just want to own that it happened.
But if somebody's listening to it, they wouldn't have heard it. They're just getting your second-hand version of it. It could have been way worse than you're presenting it.
It wasn't.
Okay. My name is Jonathan. You can find me on Blue Sky at Tennis John.
I'm James at ElliotJMR.
2 L's, 2 T's. Everything BodyServe related can be found at linktree.com/thebodyserve.
Thank you for listening.
Till next time.
Merci à tous. Merci.